Hi, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Paul Wilson, and today we are going to do a brief video about importing and hyperlinking text into Visual Basic Excel. So, what essentially we're going to do is I'm going to take a text file of links and I'm going to create a dialog box that allows the user to select the file, and then the file is going to get imported to Excel. All the data that was in the file is going to be listed throughout the whole spreadsheet, row by row, cell by cell. And then finally, all the entries are going to be hyperlinked for my convenience. Um, so let's get started. So I got nothing but a blank workbook. I'm going to start new, and I'm going to call it file save as. Okay, I don't want it as XLSX. I want a macro enabled workbook, Excel macro enabled workbook, XLSM, and I'm going to call this market research template. Maybe call it, yeah, we'll just start with something like that. Okay, so I'm going to take away some sheets for simplicity purposes, and I'm just going to start with one basic sheet. Um, and we're going to enable the developer tab. For those that don't have the developer tab, you would go to options and you would go to customize ribbon, which would be developer. Take that away, you don't have it. If it's checked, you have it. I like to have everything. Everything's good to have. Um, and we are going to go to the developer section, Visual Basic section, and we are going to run this code on its own module. So I want to do a couple of things. I'm going to rename the sheet URL, and all right, and we are ready to go. All right, so back in the Visual Basic tab, we are going to open these functions up and get it started. All right, so what we need is a module. How you do that is you go and you click, right click, and then you insert module. You can name the module. You can rename, no, you can't rename them, but we'll like, let's see, can you rename them? No, you can't rename them. I could have sworn I seen them renamed, but VBA project protection, project name, module 1, and I'm gonna call it get file. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna name it get file. Can I do that? It's good to name your sheets and name your modules and name everything so that you understand it. Now we're going to start with a code. I'm going to start by opening the code, and we're going to declare some variables. We're going to need my line, which is going to be precisely the URL, and it's going to be a string. Um, the file number is going to be a long, file 1, My sheet is worksheet. File len is long. And last row is long. As a matter of fact, I'm going to take that out because I'm not going to use that. I think we got it right there. All right, so we're going to set the sheet equal to URLs, which is the sheet as you can see here. Sheet 1 URLs. Then we are going to use files, application, get file names. We're going to essentially put the code in for the message box that gets us the message box that asks for the file. So we have file 1 up there, but we're not declaring it like we would here, like with everything else, because we're actually using the declaration down here, and it's going to be an application get open file name, and it's going to be either XLS text files, and then you could put any acceptable file that you want up there. Just be sure to note what they are and note the extension. So going further in the code, it's going to select the file and all that. If the file 1 is false, that means that no file has been selected and it's going to exit. Okay, so that whole function is going to basically get our file, allow us to choose the file to import into this worksheet. All right. Then the next part of the code I'm going to do is I'm going to say file num is long, because it says long, equals free file. Free file, where does that come from? Free file. I'm actually curious to know about that. Free file VBA. Alright, when you open a file for writing or reading in VBA, you must refer to that file with a unique integer file number. The free file function determines this unique file number for you so that you can use it to open, read, and write files using VBA. And this is according to VBA free file for foolproof file IO by wellsr.com. So that's a good enough explanation for that. All right. So that's what we're doing there. So it's going to get an unused file number. Now we're going to start with the next piece of code. And we're going to fit it in there. All right. And this essentially is going to open the file. Okay. Then it's going to input as file number. And if we have an arrow, if it is less than or greater than 0, then we get a message box file open error and an error number, and it just pops up error. So I haven't encountered that error yet, and I hope to not have to encounter that error and troubleshoot, because troubleshooting errors is always fun. I did some troubleshooting on this code beforehand, so like I had to figure out how to get it all to work and everything as I wanted to, because a lot of times in VBA what you could do is you could take two ideas and you could combine them, and you can make them work how you want to work. And that's essentially what I did here. And let's proceed on with the code. Okay. Clear contents. So we went ahead, my sheet.cells clears contents. Then we're going to declare the top part of the sheet, column A, row 1, as URL. And then we're going to list the URLs following. Okay. So this part of the sheet just like gets us our header, clears contents. And let's look up clear contents for like a definition. So we use VBA to clear only the content of a specific range, cells, or an entire worksheet, or we could use the clear contents method of the range object. Clear contents method will clear only the data in the range and the formulas like the border, font styles, background, cells, and remain the same and will not be disturbed. So it's just a like handy thing to do is clear contents. Alright, now I'm going to declare, well not declare, but I'm going to set a variable, not necessarily set a, well, I'm going to set the initial variable for the file in. And file in is along, as we've declared it up here. What that is going to do for us is it's going to stop, no, it's going to start at column, like row 2, listing the URLs further down. If I was to set it at 3, it would do it there. If I was to do it at 4, it would do it there, and so on and so forth. But we have it set to do it at 2. Then we're going to work on the line input. And this code runs so quick. This is a specific part of the code that is going to allow us to list the input. The files that I will be opening are basically, let's see, the item is unavailable and it's been removed, but let's see, I'm going to open a notepad and I'm going to say file open. Word plus blogs. And this is my list of that in which I want to import and use for my market research stuff. So back to this code here, we have the line input. It's going to be the file number, and it's going to put my line. But all we are going to see is the URLs. So we're going to use a while not function. And let's talk about while not. Let's go over while not. While not. What is while not VBA? So it's going to basically, so this is a do while not loop. And essentially what we have is a do while not going on with EOF. Do while not EOF. What's this EOF? EOF function returns a false until the end of the file has been reached. Okay, I understand now. So I'm like, so this is good, you know what I mean? This is good because we're going to dissect the code as we go. So essentially what's happening here is we are, while not at the end of the file, we are going to go to the next line. We are going to list the file. And then for each line input, it's going to be file number and my line. We're only going to see my line, which is going to be the URL. And this is going to take file in equals 2. So it's going to increment the row. Because if we didn't do this, it would just keep putting the same URL in the same row, and that would do us no good. Okay? And this ends your while not loop. So basically, you know what I mean, we're dealing with the cell. It's going to equal that value. We're going to increment up, fall into, then it becomes 3, then it becomes 4, so on and so forth every time we run it. And we're going to do the line input, and then we're going to end the while not statement. Okay? If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, and I will get back to you, answer them as quick as possible. And let's see here. We are going to add a bunch of code. All right. So I decided to declare cell as a range. And we have two nested if statement, if you will. I'm going to try to make this look nice and pretty. Alright. And what's going on here is for each cell in active sheet use range. So that's essentially calling out all actively, all used cells in the sheet. And this is the part that's going to hyperlink my sheet, or hyperlink all the URLs in my sheet. And what happens is, if the cell in trim, what is trim? What is trim, you may add? Trim MBBA. Trim function returns a text value with the leading and trailing spaces removed. So you can remove unnecessary spaces between words and a string. The trim function is built-in function in Excel that's categorized as a string and text function. Great. So we want to, basically have control of the characters. And let's see here. So it's going to trim cells. So for each one that has data in it, in the used range, it's going to look for the HTTP. It's going to active hyperlinks add the cell if we have an HTTP. If not or else, it's going to default to HTTP, and it's just going to append the HTTP. So it's to take care of like secure sites and non-secure sites, we're going to use the function to trim cell and list the URLs. Okie dokie. So we are close to ending this script, and what we are going to do is we want to close the file and end the sub. So that's what we will do. Close the file in the sub. And let's test it out. Let's let's step through it. I want to show you guys how it works when you step through it. Alright, I'm going to click F8. It's going to prompt me for a file. Let's see, I'm going to close that file if it's open so that we don't have no conflict. I'm going to open it. I'm going to step through it. So if we didn't have a file or we had a file error, that would prompt this part of the code to occur. So we're going to clear the contents of my sheet. Then we're going to set the value of A1 or a cell reference 11 to URL. So we'll take a look at that here. And there you have it. Then we're going to step through it some more. Line input is going to be, it's going to do its line input. And it's going to keep doing that until it lists all the URLs from this long file. So let's see if we can, so if I keep clicking F8, it'll do that. And it's going to do that till the end of the file. Let's see how many URLs that we have listed so far. But we're not at the end of the file. So let's go back. So it's going to do that till we get to the end. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hit F5. All right. And what F5 did was it got me through all that loop, and then it took me to the next loop that we're going to do. And this is going to be a for loop. And this is the code that's going to do what we want it to do, is the hyperlinks function. So once I hit that, it's going to loop through. So we'll step into it using F8. And you can see it's going through and it's hyperlinking the code, or hyperlinking the sheet. So we'll do it again. And we got some more. Now the thing is, our code it seems to be working great. I'm going to stop it and I'm going to run it at full speed without the brakes and all that. Alright. So I'm going to delete it. Then I'm going to run it at the full regular speed. Let's see here. And just that instantly, there you have it. Now, why is it doing? So all 642 URLs are hyperlinked that instantly. And We can run it again just to do it again, just for fun. And because I'm running it from the window, that's what we get that instantly. So, hey, if you really enjoyed the video, if it's helped you out a lot, feel free to like, subscribe, and comment below. Uh, the code and, more information about this would be available on my site. Please check it out. My site is below in the box. I want to thank you guys for watching and have a great day.